Okay, so bonjour everybody. Thank you for joining us for our second session with Gordon Coons. Bonjour in Denawe Maganadog, Ivy Nin Indigenous Jagi Nashimong, Awanakwe Ojibwe Mong, Gitchionagamin and Dunjaba, American Indian Community Housing Organization. And my English name is Ivy Vineo, and my spirit name is Awanakwe, and my mother and grandmother are Grand Portage Band of Ojibwe tribal members, so I'm a direct descendant. And I work at AICHO as a cultural arts coordinator. And so I'm zooming in on the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe, Dakota, Northern Cheyenne, and other tribal nations. And if you could in the chat, please put whose original and ancestral lands you're on now, just so we can give honor to those people and to the land. So do that now if you can. And then my preferred pronouns are she, her, and I am excited about this session today because Gordon and I had a little walkthrough yesterday, and just some really great things that you're really gonna bond onto and incorporate into your art businesses as well as artists. So we are co-hosting this session with the Minnesota Indigenous Business Alliance and the Minnesota Native Artist Alliance. And we're excited to have them partner with us on this. And I need to thank the sponsors, which is the McKnight Foundation through the Regional Cultural Artist Grant, and also Local Initiative Support Corporation Duluth and Northwest Area Foundation. Rules of engagement: keep yourself on mute. Please, if a question comes to your mind, please ask that in the chat. There might be time at the end where we can just unmute and have a conversation as well. And then I will moderate the questions in the beginning with Gordon as we go along. And before I introduce Gordon, I want to introduce one of our event hosts, Gracie Horn, and she is an artist. She is a representative of the Minnesota Native Artists Alliance, and she is a storyteller. So I'm gonna turn it over to Gracie now, and let me spotlight you, Gracie. So, all right.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Betty Washday, Gracie Horn, Imachi Apie, Sisituan Wakbetawan Oyate, Naku Hunkpapa Oyate, Naku Wakbekute Oyate, Mitioshpe, Southside Mini Shota Edwati. Hello, my name is Gracie Horn. On my people, or on my grandmother's people, we're the System-Wapton Nation based out of South Dakota. My father's mother, the Standing Rock Nation based out of North Dakota and South Dakota, and my great-grandmother on my paternal side, the Sioux Valley Nation based out of Sioux Valley, Canada. I am one of the storytellers for the Minnesota Native Artists Alliance. The Minnesota Native Artists Alliance is a creating space for dialogue, experimental practice, and community engaged work that contributes to new ideas and an understanding of how art mediums might be translated and transformed by Native knowledge, traditions, aesthetics, performance, and land use systems. Thank you for coming to today's workshop, and I'm really looking forward to hearing all that Gordon has to offer for marketing and everything. I sure need the help as well. So I hope everybody enjoys today's session, and I look forward to hearing the questions afterwards.
And Gracie, how can people get more information about Minnesota Native Artists Alliance?
We are on Instagram and Facebook under Minnesota MNI SOTA Native Artists Alliance. And we also have a new fabulous website. It's the Minnesota Native Artists Alliance.org to get a hold of us. And I should mention, just so I make sure everybody has the opportunity, we are accepting applications right now for the Springboard for the Arts CSA boxes. So we're looking for people to produce artwork for boxes that would be sold. And if you feel like you have artwork that you would like to be bought, please go to our website and please apply before the time slot ends. It will be a juried application process. And then 3 lucky artists will be selected. So thank you for everything. And I actually want to wish everybody good luck on their artistic careers as well, because as you know, probably everybody on here are artists. And so I'm very, very happy that everybody came tonight.
Miigwech, Gracie. So I'm gonna unspotlight you. Usually I have a Zoom assistant, but not for this. Where are you now, Gracie? Sorry, folks. I'm gonna spotlight Gordon as I introduce him like I did last time. There he is with his lovely artwork in the background. So, Gordon Coons is based in Minneapolis. He is an enrolled member of the Lac Courte Oreilles Band of Ojibwe near Hayward, Wisconsin, and is an Ottawa direct descendant. Gordon is a painter, printmaker, and fumage artist. Largely self-taught, he paints in the Ojibwe woodland style and creates fumage smoke art by burning cedar. He also prints with linoleum blocks. Coons draws inspiration from his Anishinaabe heritage, and his bright color palette comes from his natural surroundings in the Great Lakes region. Although his artwork is more contemporary, each piece portrays a unique view of traditional Native stories. He has won many awards at juried shows around the country and many recognitions and commissions for his artwork. You can find more about him and view his works at www.gordoncoons.com. Today, he's gonna be sharing about, he did this a little bit last time, but he's gonna go into it a little bit more. Crafting a business vision, personal vision and artist journey, when to say no, traditional fine art strategies, creating lasting patrons, and if we get to it, the 3-minute elevator speech. So I'm going to turn it over to Gordon. Gordon Coons, miigwech for being with us today.
Bonjour, everybody. Again, I'll go over my heritage a little bit. My father is where I get my enrolled tribe in northern Wisconsin, Lac Courte Oreilles. The French named our reservation that we use. And the other side of my family, my mother, I get my Ottawa from northern Michigan. And then I have some German in me and some French, so it's kind of nice. A little bit extras. So I'm going to talk about, creating a business. And we went over this last time, if you were able to view the Zoom, it's crafting a vision, it's your personal vision, your artist journey. So that's kind of what we're all kind of on. I know you've been on that path of creating work, and it's something you need to bring it out a little bit more, focus on it, because with the decide, we are selling ourselves, and that's kind of what it is. And then you're influenced by what I call a circle of influence, which is your tribal community, even your fellow artists, which like we are right now, and also your buyers, the buyer market. And just if you listen to them, they'll help you guide you on to creating your vision and see if that's the path you want to do. And the people that I sell to is usually through markets. I do a lot of other things with commissions for different businesses and things, but a large portion of my income comes from buyers coming in and purchasing work at different markets around the country. And so you have to decide what does it mean to be a career artist mean to you? And as part of again is you have to talk about your vision. Part of your vision, you kind of it sounds maybe like task. You decide you want to sell so many number of pieces in some price range from price A to price B. So that's kind of you develop some skills and some tasks that you want to address and work on. So goals, you have some goals under that in your career, I want to attend so many shows, you got to track those down. And again, that's what I do. Attend so many shows or so many markets you want to go to. And then for that, so support all that, you got your action, which is you decide, I'm going to create X amount of pieces so I'm ready for these events. And we'll talk about that a bit later about a schedule, how you want to make sure that you're not just focusing at a single point in time, but for your whole year, you develop a schedule for that. And then the real thing is your task for that. You record these in a calendar so you know when things are happening. Part of that task is also knowing when to purchase stuff. I make my wood frames and I buy my wood at a schedule because I know that the vendor, the big lumber places have sales. So I buy a lot of wood at that time. I'll use it for many months and then I'll wait for the next sale to come up because it does get quite expensive. So I try to reduce my cost. And there's other ways of reducing your costs. If you have a small group, you can go together and purchasing large quantities of paper. You can buy a ream of paper, which is, rare sizes, but it's usually 500 sheets of paper you can get and then divide it up. Same with canvases. Certain stores will have canvases. They'll go on sale at a certain time of the year, and they'll maybe have that sale only twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. So you just got to be ready. Have your associates, your fellow artists that you say, okay, let's go out and buy the canvases now, so you get a real good rate. So I do that. So I buy a large quantity, and I do have a bunch of them that I just hold on, and then I start working on them. So it takes a while to get through them, but it's a purchase that I made that I know I'm going to use later instead of pay a higher price for it. Again, most of my work is two-dimensional work. So that's what I sell. And also the other thing is that you got to watch out when I say when to say no. One is you want to make sure that you in fact are committed to a project. You're committed to people because what they're going to do is they're going to, after you're done and they're going to talk about you, and that's where you get their side as a networking. In our last meeting, somebody asked, how do I get into the hospitals? And really what that started out was the networking. Somebody came to one of my shows, they liked my work and they passed it on, that information. Then I get calls and pretty soon I get another call from someplace else. And so these things, I don't know how I probably should have really asked them, how did you find out about me, or what driven you to the work I left? But so it's really networking. It's like what we're doing now, we're doing networking. Well, they do the same thing, these hospitals, they network. So once you get in, you want to make sure that you can provide them something, you provide something that's of value to them. And I think our next session, I'll talk more about how to, develop patrons. And that's kind of what it is, whether it's the hospital or it's individual purchases, we'll be talking about. So it's when you commit to something, you say, no, you got to make sure you in fact can do it. Don't completely do something that you can't do. So, because again, they're going to say, well, they didn't do it, or you didn't meet their schedule. So you got to watch out so you make sure that you can provide what you say you're going to do, because it's your reputation, and it's in there will fall your vision. So you'll be able to do these things as your art career goes along. And I guess we can take a look at it. I call them fine art strategies. How do you represent yourself, and how do you get your name out there? And that's really the big thing. It was brought out earlier that people have a hard time talking about themselves, and this particular things I do brings out that you gotta be ready, because you're selling something to somebody, and you got to be comfortable with yourself. You got to educate the patrons what you have, what the story is, or materials. We didn't talk much about it last time at beaders, so if you use check beads, put in the little description, check beads, or if you use some type of leather, if you say if it's bison, put down bison. Let them know that what they're getting, and that really does help. It develops a two-way street between the patrons and you as the artist. So that's really the big goal, is to make them comfortable with you and be happy that they're in fact buying something from you. So Ivy, we're going to look at that first image you have with the self-inking stamps, and really
Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Bring it up. Well, this is what I have, and this is what I was just going to show a better slide of it. And why do I use this thing? Yeah, you'll see there.
All right. Gotta move this down. We're going for the self-inking stamp.
Yep, that's the one. And really, it's a small investment, and what it does, it gets you really is what I'm trying to do, is get your name on. If you have a if you have a website, that's perfect. So you can see on the top, I have my website, and then the next section on there is actually the stamping, which is quite interesting for me to look at and see how they do that. And then down below is the again, my website name with the red ink. It doesn't have that gray background that you see. And you can pick these up at, it takes a little bit to get them. Okay, so we can drop that slide and we'll just talk about a little bit more about it.
Okay. So
I'm not going on, we're just going to drop this one. So again, it's a small little tool that I use. It's really nice. And so where do you use that? In anything I do, I have these cards, and I belong to this group here in town. Sometimes they'll have one of my pictures on it. It's real nice, but it doesn't have a lot of information on the back. But what I'll do is I'll stamp it. I'm sorry. I'll stamp it, and that's kind of what you use it for. Is where you don't get your stuff printed, you can't get these. Send them back to the printer, say, you put my information on it. So you put that in it. But also I do projects for different places. And I do a lot of block printing with kids and in parks and all kinds of places. I did one at the Historical Society down in Minneapolis. But you have a nice sheet of paper. Anybody who does printing know that there's two sides to the paper, right? The printing side, which is here, and then the back side. And in the back side, again, I stamp my name on it, so when they take it home, they still got the little sales thing. I got to keep it going, and that's really what you need to do. Is just think of ways of using that stamp. And it's they're not that expensive. They're like, I don't know, I'm guessing $18, maybe $15, and I use it forever. I don't know. I stamp a lot of stuff and just set it out.
Gordon, where did you order it?
Well, I just went to one of your office stores. Just go in there and tell them you want a self-inking stamp, and look at, they'll have a variety. They have some that have big plungers that put on, they're quite expensive. But again, these little ones here, you'll see a lot of them. They use a lot of them on invoices that you get, you'll say paid on there or due or something like that, but you have them put your name on it. If you don't have artwork, I think they'll just take the letters that you fill out a little box. But if you have artwork, you might have to give them some design, so you have to see what formats they want. So they're trying to work with you, right? They want to sell the product also, so they're looking at you. So don't forget, use that stamp on a lot of stuff. And I've used mine for a long time, and I don't know when it's going to run out. You can buy new ink for them, but I haven't had to do that yet. So I don't know how much of a mess that's going to be to put that together, but I'm still waiting on that. So the other thing is I have business cards, and you think, well, business card is just something simple. Want to bring up the business card image? Well, you can see on there, right now there's 8 business cards. And why do I have a variety of 8 cards? One is when I go to markets, I'm trying to, again, sell something, and I'm selling to an individual. And they're looking at my block prints, or they're looking at my paintings, or looking at my smoke pictures. And if they're doing that, I'll give them the business card that represents that style of work. And then what else happens is there's 2 types of business cards. I have this one here, which I hand out. You just think about it as like candy. You just hand them out. Who knows what? It doesn't cost a lot to make them. We make them ourselves. We use Word and paint. Also, I start with some photo, shrink it up, bring it into here, and I use part of a photo or whatever. I mean, it takes a little bit of skill to get through that. Creating a Word document that will represent your cards. So you can just, keep on bringing them in, pick on new works. I have on the right-hand side, if you look down the bottom, that's done with duct tape. So I do whatever I have work for that represents my work. So we can go back, Ivy. So when I have these cards, I showed you this way here. It has these different designs, and you'll hand it to one person because they're the ones who are really maybe going to buy it, husband, wife, or whoever. There's usually somebody there, and what they might do is they might bring a variety of other people with them, and then I'll bring these cards out. I'll let them pick one. Just let them have one, and just it develops a little buzz for yourself. They come out, and if they don't, if they don't buy this year, maybe they'll keep the card and come back next year. So you wanna can't be too bashful. You got to go out there and try to attract them into your booth. Try to sell something. They might buy something small, but that's how they start out. You start out buying small work, and please no, buy a larger work. So I have work that goes from like 5 inches to 5 inches up to 36 inches by 36 or 30 by 40. So I got a good range of stuff I sell. And I think that was it in the. So the other type of business card you have a card that has your address on it. It has your home address, your phone number, your real detailed information for contacting. I don't hand those out. I did a long time ago when I first started. I was handing it out because I only had one business card. And then all of a sudden in the mail, I was getting about 40 publications. Somebody picked up my card. They took one of those things that you circle and they say, send me up for a prescription to your magazine. It took me about 2 years to cancel all those magazines. So the card I give out, which is has my real detail information, my address, my phone number. I give it to people who either buy the work or they're in a business themselves, whether they're a gift store purchaser coming to a market, or you're talking to a gift store type place, whether it's a gallery or it's somebody that you want to have a business relationship with. So you want to give them contact information, how to get a hold of you. So there's 2 cards. One that you hand out like candy, and one you kind of watch off a little bit. And so it helps keeps your work, your image in their mind, because if they pick up the card, they might walk around and they'll forget where they seen you, and then they don't come back. So you kind of help them out so they keep track of where you are. Let's start looking at some of the bags. Again, I have these 3 types of bags away that I use. What did I say? Did we talk about buttons? Okay. Let's okay. Well, let's leave you can leave this one up. This is good.
Okay.
And what I do is whether I'm at when I'm at a gallery, usually I'll make a number of these, and people attend to an opening, I'll hand them out. If you can get the gallery place to pay for them, that's a good deal. Of course, they're 2.5 inch, 2.25 inch buttons that I just hand out. And usually I'll have the name on them, and I'll use their name of the gallery or where I'm showing at that time with their website on whatever. It's real small. And then after that particular show is through, if I still have extras left over, when I go to markets, I'll just hand them out to kids, because kids, you want to get them excited about your work, and they can talk to their parents about the little thing that they got, which is nice. And so when I go to markets and I have leftover buttons, I just hand them out to the young kids. I make it enjoyable for them, because it makes it enjoyable for me. And if you have a good friend like who will do the digital work for you, that's real nice. That helps out a lot. So you want to go on to we'll start looking at the different types of bags. Oh, okay, whatever order I got, whatever you like to show. But what this is a real handy little deal. It's a USB flash drive. I had somebody take one of my images, put it on the front and the back, and the back has a little square that I can write down a date, so I know what they have a date that I hand out to. I send out and mail out. I either do when I'm talking to them in a store or something on that type, I'll give them one of these things. I make a few of them. I search out where I'm going, and I'll think about, well, if I see this many stores or whatever I need to talk to, I'll give them some information on me, and it's in here. Not only does it have digital images, a smaller format, because you don't want somebody cranking out a bunch of prints of your work, so you just give them a smaller format. In there will be an introduction letter about myself. I usually say, okay, I'm selling also at these other places. Do you want to join up being on my, places that will carry my work? And I had found a company out in California though that will create these for you. They have different type formats, but I picked this one here. But if you want to come back to the screen. Yeah. So I have that with the design, and you'll see a little funny now, but so I have a nice little square design, and down below you can see where it attaches to a computer. The little thing about this is a little tricky. You have to spin it to cause that little connector thing to pop out. Next time I might want to is just like we normally see, where you just turn something once and there it comes out. Because this is a little, it's not too intuitive to doing it, But it's a real handy way of introducing. So nobody does them like this. It's like this place produces these flash drives for all kinds of big companies, 3M and whatever. They got some really big time customers. And again, it is, how many do you buy at a time, and that's what's going to reduce your cost on yourself. So I usually I'll get like about 50 at a shot, and then I'll use them for a couple of years, and then I'll put another order in, and I'll have a different design. So it gives me something to do, And they're people are, like I said, some places will take them and they'll use them, and then you can. Because I do a lot of different animals, I'll have a group that's just bears, aqua, do a bear that, crows, birds, fish, I'll do a file that's structured in that manner. So they're just looking for bears. So some people get stuck in some animals. They'll just want to sell that, and then they'll look for it.
So Gordon, do you just sell it with the image on, or do you sometimes give it to like galleries that you want to work with, and you have your work in the
Well,
drive, or?
I don't give it to people who buy an artwork. If they buy one, the only reason I give it to stores, or I'll track down markets around, and I'll send it out to them. I'll make a contact letter, and then I'll tell them I'm going to send them something. It's a place you want to go, and want to sell it. So I don't necessarily give it to people. I give it more to businesses, whether it's a gallery or it's a Sequoia Research Center in Little Rock, Arkansas buys my work, so I give it to them, and it gives updates for it. I'll give an update to it, and I'll give it to them. So it's more of a business-to-business relationship that you want to develop, not necessarily person-to-person. That's a little too much.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to pull them up when you come into a place and you want to look at everything. You got it right there, and you can bring it in through your laptop and say, "Hey, this is what I got," and it gives them an idea of what you have, and it's a quicker way of doing it, and it's up to date.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, anyways, now we can maybe find the bags.
Can we do the bags now?
Yeah, let's see if we can find those.
Those are so cool. Okay, I'm gonna go back in.
Oh, we didn't do a price list, did we? Did we do where are those? What order are those in?
The
art tags that you would put on a artwork?
Oh, let's find out.
Let's find out. Oh, there you go. Because I do travel around the places, and I go to these casinos. Not necessarily to spend money as much as to come there and grab cards. So I pick up these cards, and it has to do with you being different when you go to a market. Everybody else has a little price tag, and then pretty soon you want people to remember you. Not only do I give them a business card, I have these cards on my images, and you look at them. Those are player cards from different casinos. So the top left, the red one, is from the casino I say casino from, but it's the reservation I'm from, Lac Courte Oreilles. So that's our business card, and that's our emblem. Over to the right, the turquoise bluish colored one is from Oneida. And I found this other one down on the bottom left. It's more white, and it's in South Dakota. It's a Lone Star, whatever casino out there. And then here's another one from Minnesota in the bottom right, a yellow one called Treasure Island. So these, after they're doing these cards, they're selling them now. They usually just give them away, but they sell them to you now. So I got a few boxes of these things. So I go out and collect them. I just put little gummy tape on the back and put them on my images. And people actually still like to get these things. So when they buy a picture, I give it to them again, because I'll just make another one. So the black parts that you see reading are just coming from a label maker, printed on clear labels and stick it on. There you go, you're all set. And I make a variety of them. Sometimes I use them and they're just blank down below without a name of the work and the price, because sometimes I won't have time to make them, and I'll just write in it at the show. But most of the time, probably 95% of the time, it's like this. You'll see a different card. And it stops people. They look at it, and it's kind of, it's a fun thing to do. I like to have a little fun out there and talk to people, and they'll look at them. Okay. Again, these are, we're going to look at some other size. I'm going to look at those, but those are, I actually have 4 bags, but I only have 3 right here that you can see. One I call a large bag. It's only, you can't get the paper much bigger than this, 19 by 17, and it's 7 inches deep. So I get some, it works in there. And so those are kind of shopping bags. And then you see the medium size, it's little, you know, medium size work. And then a small one I use for card sets or small works like 5x5 will fit in there real nice. And what I do is Ivy, you want to come back to the screen here? What I do is, if you can see, there's a word. So this is the medium-sized one, but on the back there's nothing. And what I do is when people buy these, buy artwork, and I'll put it in the bag, and I'll actually tell them, carry it on your right-hand side, your left-hand side, with the words out, so other people can look at it and see it, and then they'll get excited, and they'll come over to your booth and say, "Where'd you get this?" And they'll tell you, "Oh, I get this over here." And what's nice about that is you know it's working, because people will come up and ask you, "Can I just buy the bag?" And I you know, yes, there's all kinds of ways of chasing a dollar, but I'm not going to sell my bags for that, for a small amount of money, you know. Because in fact, I do make these myself. I don't make the bags, I put on the design. So I have, again, I buy them by the case, and then I start making these. So it's my handprint, and then my name on the top, and I have my two tribes that I'm a part of, right? Ottawa, Ojibwe. So it's kind of it's a way of people remembering. And what happens is sometimes I come back to a show, somebody come in and say, "Hey, you know, I have your bag hanging in a frame by this picture." So it's not an original idea of a bag, you know. There's other people who've been doing this, you know. Andy Warhol did it a long time ago, and I thought it was kind of interesting doing it. So I actually have some people who buy work and will actually have me sign the bag, and because they want to take it and hang it up and do things with it. So I don't mind doing that. But I don't want to sell them, like I said. So I just give them away. So you can change the colors, and so kind of as long as people are buying from you, you know, you think about it, what they are is they're your little unlisted sales force. So once they buy one, they carry the bag around, walk around the market, people get to see them. If they see more bags, they think maybe I should come there and see what this is all about. So it's a nice, cheap advertisement during a market without paying too much for it. And it does bring a little buzz in there. People like it. So what else have we got Ivy? I think we have it all, right? 3.
Yeah, I could just kind of zoom in on the individual ones. Like here's a large,
Yeah.
clear image.
And like again, you put just different sizes. And I have one that I have. We'll talk about next time is reproductions. I'll show you about how I sell those, and they're a different type of bag, but people like to get them.
So that's it for the show and tell. I have a question for you. Does he hand paint each one, or does he use a stencil?
Here's the stencil. You don't mind getting a little dirty. I just ink it up, lay it down, but my names are stencil. So they're not necessarily a stencil. They're a rubberized, think of it like a stamp. So there's the stamp that I cut out with my name and my 2 tribal affiliates with, and then I just ink them and lay them down on each of the bag. So I'll sit and not do anything for a while. I'll sit and I'll make 50 of them at a time, and I'll make another 50 of a different size. And so you do have to dry. You're always busy doing art. You don't want to make it. You want to do it as a job. You don't want to make it as work. You know. So schedule your time. That's the biggest thing. Know that you need to do different tasks at certain times. It doesn't interfere with the other things.
So Gordon, maybe we can, before we go on to the next part, if there are questions from the other attendees about what Gordon has shared with us already. Maybe this would be a good time. You could either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Questions or anything.
But while you're typing away, one thing is, you talk about creating lasting patrons. What you do is you want to educate them. Like I said, if you're a beader, you want to tell them, use check beads, or there's a fellow I know up in Duluth area up there uses gold beads. So you have to tell them, educate people, tell them what they're looking at, whether you're harvesting baskets, you're making things like that, or in my case, I'm painting. I tell them whether I'm using oil and what type of oil paints I use, what type of acrylic paints I use. I tell them I make my frames because I make my frames. And part of it is to give them information. If they're not buying right now, they might buy something later. If they're traveling, they're not going to want to carry a big item with them. But you can talk about how you can ship it to them. I normally use UPS because it has tracking numbers, and it's quite safe. It's a little tougher with glass. The biggest sheet of glass I ship out is 20 by 30 inches. And over the 29 plus years, I've only had one break. So I feel comfortable doing it, but it's the packing. So when you talk to people and you educate them, you tell them about why you have, and there's your storytelling, and we tell them about your creation, what this image means. And then it brings them in to ask more questions. Again, to tell you about the information, materials you give to them. And then you can take them and tell them, well, if they're not buying, you can tell them, well, I'm going to be here next. And you kind of give them your schedule out a little bit. You tell them where you can be, or where different exhibits are, and if you do have it, or if you have something scheduled in the area. So we talk about the 3-minute speech, or do we answer questions?
There was a question that came up, but you're going to address it in the next session, in the last session. But if you want to,
I'll tell them I do send documents with every work I sell, and hate to chase you away or make you not show up next time, but we'll go over that in detail, what I do and have, or what I do and why I do it. So one of the biggest things is it okay to talk about the 3-minute speech? I don't know if you ever heard that term. It's called a 3-minute speech, or it's called the elevator talk. And really what you're doing is you're trying to sell yourself more to a business than an individual. But there's a couple things you kind of do at the setup. If you can do, is visit them when they have their openings, or can't be opening gallery shows, and talk to the people who are in charge. And just, you don't have to necessarily tell them about what you're doing. You can just, maybe if you need to talk to them a little bit and think about it. And then, go to their place, find out what they have. Is it something you want to show at? Is it a place you want to be? I have some jeweler friends that won't go to places because a lot of jewelry takes maintenance. It takes cleaning up. The silver needs to be wiped, and if they don't do it, if you look in a case and it's all dusty and gray, is that where you want your stuff? Is that where you want your things? So it's good to go visit and kind of eyeball them and see, is it really what I want to go? Don't be bashful about not going, because you're good enough to be there. And they're just not aware of your talents. And so you start out by looking out, checking them out. You feel comfortable, request a time to either talk to them, or if you feel comfortable about right then, is you can do what's like again, to call it a 3-minute speech or the elevator speech. And what you want to do is you want to start out as, elevator is quick, 3-minute speech. Time yourself on doing this, and also do it in front of somebody. Practice it so you feel comfortable doing it. You won't stutter so much, and you'll present yourself positive is what you really want to do. And really what you want to do is you want to describe yourself, use your short artist statement, like if you think, we talked about before about 3-minute statements, so just 3-sentence statements, use that, because that's what you want to grab them with. Who are you? Where are you from? And that's kind of what you do. And then go into your introduction. You're telling them about your artwork and why you do it. And then they hear that. Don't forget, they've been in business for a long time, so they heard a lot of these things. So the thing is, what you need to do is you need to go out and say, this is what I can do for you. And tell them about how you support your business, not just, you tell them about that, but I mean, how you are, how you create your works, what you, suppose, create your works, tell them about events that you've done, so they know that you're not a beginner, too much of a beginner. You can be a beginner and do it, so that's okay. Tell them how, again, what you will do for them. That's what they want. They want to have your work, but they don't want you just put it on the wall and then walk away. You want to come and say, hey, I'll do this for you. I'll come in and I'll replace stuff. I'll do talks, artist talks. This is what drives in patrons to their place, so they want those things, so they'll advertise you. And then also, if you have a following, as you go along, you could say, well, I got X amount of people who have purchased, or X amount of people are interested in my work, and you can give them that information. So in fact, they want to enlist their patron list also larger. So it's a two-way street. You got to give up something to get something. So if you inform them about your patrons, that's something that they're going to be acceptable to, and they might accept you and bring you in. You might start small, but then, as time goes on, you might get bigger.
Gordon, is there something that you should not share in a 3-minute speech, elevator speech?
Well, be truthful. I think that's it. I don't know. I don't know what I would do that I don't tell them that I wouldn't be proud of saying out there. So that's kind of it. Is you want to be things, really be yourself. I don't know what, I couldn't think of things I wouldn't want to say, because that's what I'm doing, is I'm selling myself. So I want to feel comfortable with myself, be proud of what I'm doing, and that's kind of it. You got to go out there and present yourself. Is that really what you want to bring out some bad thing? And I don't know. And, they don't necessarily know everything about you, but they're looking to your artwork, and they're looking to make sure that you are, they want to invest their time and their money into you.
Do you want to take some questions now?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a question about how do you use social media to market your art?
Let's see. Well, my age. How's my age look? A little older. So I don't do as much social media. One is I make a lot of stuff. I don't have time to do social media. Can you believe that? So I do have my wife. She does all that for me. I let her do that. She's happy to participate. I mean, it's just like, probably my biggest thing is I can't spell. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to start texting all that stuff, So I don't, my social media, I take the lazy approach. I participate in a lot of stuff, and a lot of people will write up about me. If you did a Google search on me, you'd see tons more than I write in. Because I read these things, I said, gee, is that me? So I don't, I am not a good writer, so I have my wife, she has to check my emails before I send them out, because again, I'm not real good at it. She hates it when I do send it without telling her. I can tell you that. So that's why I use social media. I know it's important. I do emails, and that's probably my whole thing, emails. And I'll let my wife take care of the other stuff. And I'll have friends like Ivy. She'll put out stuff. We have some shows coming up, and I'm sure she's gonna, I want to list her help to get them done.
Oh yes, I will be helping with that.
There you go. See that?
Yeah.
You get all these people who are going to help you. You just got to get in there.
Yeah.
you work with them. You know, you got to give them things, and you got to give you stuff, you know.
Right. So our next question is, do you have a physical portfolio you take into stores or new markets?
Yes, I do. We'll talk about it more, but I do reproductions of my original works, and I'll bring them. So I got 3 portfolios I bring around. One is larger images, and I can put a sheet of paper that is 20 inches by 30 inches. So it can hold, I don't know how many pictures it can hold, maybe 6, 8 comfortable. And then I'll have another one that's probably smaller, that's probably, I'm gonna guess 16 by 20. And I'll use that for more reproductions of that size. And then I have another one that's smaller, that's like 12 by 14 maybe, and I'll use that as reproductions. And some people, you know, I'll group them, I'll put them in order, some type of order, you know, whatever it would be for me. And then I bring those into them. And then I use these, again, we talked about these little thumb drives I use, so I bring those in. So I do this a little bit more than I do the portfolios, but I do use those portfolios because some of my images don't come out as good when they're digitally photoed, because the photos, you know, don't lie, man. You see everything. So if you have any little thing that's not correct, it's going to show up. So I use my portfolio to bring those out. So I'll mix them both. I'll bring the flash drive and I'll bring my portfolio.
Any other questions for Gordon? We have about 5 minutes left. You can unmute if you like.
I can tell you it's a fun journey. I love it. It's just like, I can't wait to go someplace and do something and get involved with something, because it's, you know, and you're surprised out there, there's people. And that's what makes it fun. You make new friends. I go east and west. I get calls for work. I get calls. I go teaching schools. And you just got to work at it. And again, got to watch out. Don't accept too many things that you can't make. It's easier to accept it, but it's worse to say, no, I can't go after you accepted something. Because they'll remember you more for the no, you know. So they might not call you next time. So you want to be as positive as you can. Provide to individuals, but, you know, create a schedule. Sounds simple. When I go to art markets, even though I've been doing this like 29 years, I have a checklist that I bring. Before I leave, I plan to be at my shows 2 weeks before the show starts. And then I got the last 2 weeks to get the stuff I forgot. So it's kind of, whether it's artwork or a frame that needs to be refixed, it gives you a little bit of leeway before you have to go. So that's kind of, I should have learned that a long time ago, and that's probably why I got gray hair, right? Too much worrying. So it's things you learn along the way. I started out buying glass for pieces of paper that I had because I cut it. And then I found out if you buy glass by the case, it's cheaper. So I buy it by the case. And then I go to the hardware stores and I'll say, hey, I do pictures. This is what I make a year. And I'll buy all my glass from you if you give me a discount. And they'll give you a discount because they want it. They don't care. They don't care trying to do it. Reshelf the glass. They're just going to put it in the box and say, hey, come get your glass. And there you go. So you got to think about, you know, the biggest thing is how to save your money, how to, that's a lot of it is save your money. It's a fun, like I said, it's a fun event. These art markets, I get friends all over, but I had it for years. I take pictures of their kids at markets when they start their art careers, all kinds of stuff.
So we have two questions. Oh, I'm having some weird feedback here. Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I see one here. I sell original works. I sell reproductions. You know, like again, I want people to enjoy my work, and some people are not ready to buy original works. Not that mine are really expensive, but I have some that are expensive and some that are not. But then I have reproductions. I don't make my reproductions the same size as my original works. Because when I sell reproductions, I want they're aware that they're buying a reproduction. I'm not buying original work. So these people who spent the money on the original works, they spent a little bit more. So I don't want to devalue their purchase by selling something that's just as big. So I normally just sell original works. My reproductions are a lot smaller. If I work that's 24 inches by 24 inches, the biggest reproduction I'll make is 12 inches by 12 inches. So I want to be true to them because they invested in myself, and that's kind of what I did.
And then how do you find markets?
How do I find markets? Well, there's this national organization I used to belong to, and they used to produce a phone book with all the other people who belong to the organization. American Indian Community, no, that's, sorry. American Indian Craft Arts Association, I don't know what that is now. They're out in Albuquerque, actually on Carlisle Street. I've been to the place, and then so they give you the information, and then the other thing is to grab good magazines. They used to have a few more native magazines out there, and they would list the top 10 art shows to go to. And you start there, and there's a lot of shows that don't make that top 10 list, so don't leave them out. I don't know. I just find out about them. I search, what art markets are coming up for the next year or whatever. There's a lot of them. I was a little worried about going out to the Southwest because, you think about, they did an article for me one time, when I went out to Lawrence, Kansas, and I called the place Santa Fe East. There's a lot of Santa Fe jewelers out there, so it's real. You go to some tents, it's just bright, all the silverware. But yeah, there's a lot of different places. It's hard to do, and you get used to doing this. And again, I get people who just send me stuff, and I don't know where. I'm sure they get it from other markets because they have that mailing list, right? So it's the same deal. It's a business. They want to get you as a vendor out there to sell your artwork to attract the crowd that comes and pays the ticket. So that's a big cycle of stuff that happens. So you're just going to get started. And then you can weed out which ones you want to go to and which ones you don't go to. And some of them will have the same schedule for something else you got to make them. I mean, then you can decide, did I do really good here? Did I not do good? Do I want to come back? That's kind of it. Is it, again, the vision, what is the focus of your work? Is it to completely just sell work, or is it to go out there and enjoy yourself and meet new people and meet new native artists and things like that? Because they'll tell you what's a good show to go to, what's a bad show. And then that's always nice. And some, I hate to say too bad about, there's some shows that they're not real solid in what they do. There's some that had to quit because of the problems they had, the financial problems they had. And that's too bad. Nobody was able to come in and take over. But they're not, don't worry about entering them. I would enter, but till you get an idea where things are and you develop your circle of friends, your circle of influences, then you can make those determinations.
Gordon, can you share one of your favorite markets?
Favorite markets? Oh. Well, I can tell you what, you can look, I look at markets as a couple of ways. One is everybody understands football, right? So I say these markets are like football. You got your regular games, you got your playoffs, and your next level playoffs, and they get the Super Bowl. Santa Fe's the Super Bowl. You want to go to a market that's really selling? Santa Fe. It's tough to get into. One year I was selling artwork every 15 minutes for a couple hours. I couldn't believe it. I was so busy. Again, what will make the markets really good for you is if you're a first-time artist in there and it's a new style that they're not used to looking at, they'll get excited a little bit about your works. So the big one that I like to go to is the artwork in Indianapolis at the Idle Museum of Indian Western Art. That's a real good market for myself. I've been going there like 25 years. That's how good it is. You know, it's a fun place to go. Again, it takes money to make money. So you got to pay for your hotels, your gas, and all that stuff. I drag a trailer with me, a small trailer. So there's light of. I've been from DC to New Orleans to. I didn't drive out to Portland, Oregon, but I flew out there with my art, if you can believe that. So you have to decide what you want to do. It is, don't forget they call these some of these people starving artists. And then, part of it is looking at the markets when you go there. How do you fit in? When I say that is your price is comparable to what's the skill level and the people there. So you got to be ready for that. Is that something you need to do? So it's part of, you can ask the other artist, can you come look at my stuff? How do you think mine compare, It's nice to get an outside opinion sometimes, but,
You're getting some Zoom love here, Gordon.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so Kent said the sessions have been absolutely the best and most helpful in so many ways. Miigwech for doing these sessions. And Avery says these workshops are very interesting and jam-packed of artist logistical thinking. Thank you, Gordon. Looking forward to the next.
Oh, good. Yeah, the next one's gonna be they're all getting better. But
yes, the next one is on December 16th, and I put the link, the registration link in the chat, just a couple up. And it's gonna be December 16th at the same time, 6:30 Central Standard Time. I see that someone just joined. They must have been on the wrong time zone.
thanks. Yeah, that's too bad.
But some of the things that Gordon will be talking about are documenting your artwork and authenticating your artwork. So can you kind of give us just a touch of a preview of what you'll share at that last session, Gordon?
Really, what is you want people to be supportive of your work, and you want them to feel getting comfortable buying something. So it's really I think time goes on, people are more educated about looking at work and deciding if they're going to, I don't know if art is a real investment in you or investment or what, but certificates help out a lot. Documentation, and we could talk about that a little bit more too. We will talk about that more, but it's like, it's when I get awards for stuff, I keep it and I give it to people because I have awards that I get on my original works, and then some of the original works, I should say, are my prints. So I'll give them a copy of the award for that particular print they buy. So it's a little bit more easier to give them out like that versus just hand them out with your reproductions, because again, you have to decide what you want to sell your reproductions for, and does it help with the cost of producing these images from your awards? So it's like you have to decide what you want to invest your money into, attract customers, attract patrons.
All right, well, it seems like we're like 10 minutes over, which is fine. I think we still have everybody since the beginning. So I just want to say miigwech to Gordon, apachigo miigwech for sharing your expertise and your experience with us, and your knowledge. And we invite all of you to to our last and final session, which is December 16th. I want to thank our co-hosts again, Minnesota Indigenous Business Alliance and the Minnesota Native Artist Alliance, and Miigwech Gracie for being a co-host and sharing some words about her artist collective there. And if you have any questions, I will be emailing out an email after this session with the link to this, to all that registered, the recording link, and then also a link to our survey form. And please take just a couple minutes to fill that out to get some feedback from you. I'll share that with Gordon, and we'll be ready for the next one. So with that, I guess I'm going to let everyone go and have a
Yeah, Ivy,
yes.
I just have one last thing.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Anybody who wants to enter the market, I mean, now is the time when you really do your summer market, your 2022 schedule. So think about that. If you want to start searching some of these places, Santa Fe, that's not due till, I'm not real sure on that one when it's due, because I already filled mine out. But the one in Indianapolis is usually due on mid-January. And then the other ones, you can take a look at them.
Okay.
So work on your schedule if you're going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so I just want to, before we leave, I just want to wish Gordon and Deb a happy 50th wedding anniversary, and they're going to Platteville for an art show.
Yeah. And then to Galena for the celebration.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, how about that?
Happy anniversary, Gordon.
Thank you.
So miigwech everyone for joining us. And we'll check back in on December 16th at 6:30 Central Standard Time. All right.
Great.
Okay, go Wabaman.
Keep a Wagaman.